Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Wilkinson. I'm the Manager of Communications and Media for the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency. Joining us today are Honorable Tim McLeod, Minister of Corrections, Policing and Public Safety, Honorable Eric Schmalz, Minister of Human Relations, Honorable Keisig, Minister of Environment, Honorable Terry Jensen, Minister of Social Services, and SPSA's President and Fire Commissioner Marlo Pritchard. Please note that this call is being recorded, and later today, the video recording will be also posted on our YouTube and Facebook pages. We will first hear from Minister McLeod, provide an announcement on recovery and support efforts for communities and individuals affected by this year's wildfires. After this, we will go into questions. We do have a hard stop at 2 p.m., so we'll ask members of the media to ask one question and one follow-up. With that, I will turn over to Minister McLeod to provide the announcement.
Well, thank you very much, Stephanie, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be joined today, as Stephanie mentioned, with my colleagues, Ministers Schmalz, Jensen, and Keisig. Always a pleasure to sit alongside Marlo Pritchard, President of the SPSA, and also joining us in the gallery today is the MLA for Batoche, Darlene Rowe. Assisting recovery efforts for communities impacted by this year's wildfires remains a top priority for our government. The SPSA's recovery task team has been meeting with communities that were devastated by the wildfires in order to determine priorities with the recovery effort. Those discussions have revolved around the initial phase of supporting communities through the development of their recovery plan to initiate cleanup quickly and safely removing debris. Based on those discussions and the preliminary needs assessment, the Government of Saskatchewan is committing $20 million to help the recovery process begin. This is expected to be used for debris removal and environmental testing, the creation, expansion, and maintenance of landfills in or near communities who have suffered loss due to the fire, and project management support for the impacted communities. We know that the road to recovery begins with clearing the way, quite literally and figuratively. This funding is intended for communities and individuals that sustained losses during the provincial emergency declaration period, which ran from May 29th to June 26th, or if the evacuated community was under a local state of emergency at the time of the loss. It is important to note that this funding does not replace personal or business insurance coverage. Wildfires are typically an insurable natural occurrence, and as such, we strongly encourage individuals and businesses to contact their insurance providers as soon as possible if they have not already done so. Today's announcement is about more than just dollars. It is about safely rebuilding lives and livelihoods. We are committed to walking alongside our communities every step of the way. The recovery process is being led by the communities with full support from the recovery task team. As planning, cleanup, and debris removal occurs, the recovery task team will continue to work closely with communities to support their recovery plan. For communities, individuals, and businesses that sustained uninsurable losses, the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program, or PDAP, may be able to assist. This funding is intended for losses not covered under a standard fire insurance policy. We would like to thank the community leaders and the team members from the recovery task team who have put in countless hours over the past several weeks to build the recovery process together. Meeting with and working alongside communities has been essential for this initial step in the recovery process, and this coordination will continue to be essential as communities rebuild. We continue to see significant wildfire activity, and I want to thank each and every community leader, firefighter, contractor, and volunteer who are putting in tireless efforts to minimize future impacts to our communities from this devastating wildfire season. Thank you very much. With that, I'll turn it back to Stephanie.
Thank you, Minister. We'll now go into questions. So we'll start in the room here. So reminder, one question, one follow-up, and please provide your name and media outlet.
We both can decide this.
Is there talks of a provincial state of emergency? You know, what's that situation looking like?
Well, the state of emergency is always an ongoing assessment, and I can turn the details over to Marlo to talk about what is looked at, but it's certainly an ever-evolving situation, and we know that we're only in the midst of the wildfire season, so that can change.
As
We're sorry.
It's okay.
okay, so can you hear it okay? I'll speak loud. So as the minister said, it is an ongoing assessment depending on the circumstances, impacts to nearby communities, individuals. So, if the situation gets worse, just like it did earlier in the spring, of course, that would be a conversation I would have with the minister. And if we needed to enhance the ability to, shut down roads and other activities to minimize the impacts of that situation. So currently, we are not looking at an emergency declaration, but we continue to monitor.
Follow up?
Can I just talk about how many values have been lost and how many of those are homes so far?
The last report that I had, and of course this is ongoing, is 299 primary residents across the majority of the north is the individuals or the housing that was destroyed by the wildfires. We have a number of garages, personal property. It's exceeded 2,000 values, but the homes itself are 299.
Is that as of June 20th? Was that the last report you heard?
That would have been for basically the whole spring, from probably mid-May until end of June, and then of course it continues to go.
Okay, now I have a question. Michael Lexon, Prince Albert Daily Herald. So the situation is getting worse in some parts of the province, in some parts of the north right now again, but it's not as bad as it was before. So would that be a fair assessment?
That would be a fair assessment. We have seen a number. Well, as it's been talked about earlier, we're really into the wildfire season now. We're seeing increased storms, lightnings. We are currently at about 67 fires on the landscape. Majority of them on the west, and again, the majority of them are caused by storm activity. And we continue to work on those and suppress them the best we can.
And for Minister McLeod, as a follow-up that's along the same lines, but with this current situation, there could be more communities that would be benefit from this announcement. So is that an ongoing assessment situation as well with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we know, as Marlo said, the 299 or so primary residences that have been lost, the vast majority of those are in Denair Beach. And so working very closely with that community. I know Minister Keisig was up there recently. Minister Schmalz and I have both been there having ongoing conversations with the leadership at Denair Beach. But we certainly hope that we can avoid any further devastation in other inhabited communities and areas. But anywhere that we have had the loss of primary residences, the government will be there to certainly support those individuals.
Okay, now I'll go over to Teams for questions. Okay, we have Maria up. Please identify your media outlet and one question and one follow-up, please.
Hi, yeah, Maria with 980 CJME. So there are reports of English River First Nation and the hamlet of Pachinak being cut off because of wildfires. Can you just confirm which communities are essentially trapped right now and what's the plan?
Can't seem to hear you. You can type your question in the chat though.
Do you want to ask it, Jill?
Hi. Sorry, I'm in. This is Jillian Massey from 980 CJME. My colleague is just having some technical difficulties. Would you mind if I go ahead and ask what she was planning on asking?
For sure, yeah.
Absolutely. So we've heard that there's about 700 people with English River First Nation and Pachinak who are stranded at this point. Can you maybe just confirm who is stranded at this point and what's the plan?
It's Marlo Pritchard speaking here, Julian. Thank you for the question. Highway 918 is closed for Pachinak. We have been in conversations with the emergency management coordinator and First Nations leadership there. The community itself is not in danger, at least immediate danger with the fire, but their access in and out of the community has been compromised. We continue to monitor that, and we will work with the community and assess it on a daily, or if not hourly basis to determine if there is a requirement to evacuate. And if that's the case, then we will work with MLTC or a service provider or ourselves to ensure that they are safely evacuated. But at this point in time, they are not declaring an evacuation, but their access is compromised. And we continue to work those fires and try to open the access point as quickly as possible.
Okay, up next, Chris.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Okay, perfect. So Chris Vandenbrekel here with Global News in Saskatoon. In regards to those roads being cut off in the news conferences last week when we talked about potential access issues, Marlo, you and Steve talked about how that would be one of the major concerns in terms of assessing an evacuation order. So why is it when it's a one road in, one road out community that this is not prompting an evacuation at this point, given the road access issues?
Essential traffic is being essential traffic. Okay. At this point in time, I've been advised that essential traffic is being escorted in and out to ensure that the goods and logistics needed to keep that community whole is being supplied. We are working to open that road as quickly as possible. As I said earlier, currently the smoke and fire are not an immediate threat to the community. But we monitor that, and we are working with the leadership there. And again, evacuations are a leadership decision, so it will be dependent on the leadership. Should that happen, we will be there to support them.
All right, and as a follow-up, it's actually a separate question for you, Minister McLeod. Late last week, you raised concerns over the removal of Rhonda Blackmore as RCMP's top post in Saskatchewan. Have you received any clarifications or assurances from the RCMP, and how are you feeling about that situation?
No further communication has been returned with regard to the concerns that we raised, but those conversations are ongoing. Certainly, we continue to have a very positive working relationship with the RCMP, and we hope that will continue in the future. The concern that was raised was quite simply that we lost our commanding officer of F Division and have very few details around that. It's been quite some time since that removal, and we certainly had a very positive working relationship with Rhonda Blackmore, and we expect that if that's going to be the situation, which is entirely the jurisdiction of the RCMP to do, we would expect that we have some level of understanding in terms of the rationale behind the decision and timelines for when we can expect a conclusion to that process.
And I don't see any more questions online. Do we have any more in the room? No. I will do.
Sorry. How has the muskeg fire grown at all? What's the size of that right now?
Current size of the muskeg is 23,836 hectares.
Is it joined with any other fires or anything like that? Any outside resources coming into the province?
We have Quebec, and we continue to utilize our CIFC resources to complement our staff. And as of today, we did get 100 firefighters from Quebec.
Thanks, Marlo. Chris?
Yeah, Chris Vandenbrekel with Global News again. Marlo, looking at the weather outlook, are we thinking challenging days ahead, or is there some advantages that you'll have?
I'll tell you, but that one's probably a good one for Steve to answer. Because because I can tell you that the cooler weather over the weekend has helped, but we know we're going into a hotter spell potential, and that's not always good news for the suppression efforts.
Is there any updates on the aircraft situation right now? Any ones that are on the ground expecting to be back in the air at all?
Like again, as we've said earlier, we utilize air assets through SIFC. We have a full complement, including the air assets that we brought in from outside of the province. We are continuing our missions. We still have planes that require parts to be repaired, but that is a normal operating of any air fleet, in all fairness.
Thanks, Marlo. And Chris, another question?
Yeah, this one might be directed at Marlo, might be directed at somebody else. In regards to evacuees in SPSA-sponsored hotel rooms and their pets, I saw some updates from Beauval EOC over the weekend telling people that they had to find alternate arrangements for their pets if they were going down to Saskatoon as an evacuee. Very stressful situation for these evacuees already, hard to be separated from their pets. What are the rules around that, and why is it necessary to separate the pets?
Thank you for the question. Actually, the rules around the pets are dictated by the hotels that we use. A lot of the hotels do not allow pets, so that is part of the information that we share with those communities that evacuate. That they can and we will support them to put their pets up into a shelter if they cannot find family and friends. So it really is dictated by the hotels that we are able to access.
When you say you will support them, does that mean there is some financial contribution from the SPSA to support that boarding?
Yes, there is.
Okay, is it like 100%? Like, do you know the details of that? Like, is it fully covered or?
We have in the past supported the evacuees' pets and the housing of the pets if they cannot get with family and friends.
Thank you.
I don't see any further questions. Oh, there's an issue with the mic. You can type your question in the chat. You can always email media.spsa. Oh, here it is. The $20 million is a part of an emergency fund allocated annually to address wildfires.
Thanks for the question. The $20 million is new funding committed by the government of Saskatchewan with today's announcement, and it highlights the fact that the government is bringing an all-hands approach to the recovery phase. To assist communities that have been devastated by these wildfires. And that's why I'm joined alongside today with ministers of environment, social services, government relations. We have partnerships with this process with the Ministry of Crown Investment Corporation. We know that the Ministry of Health has already advanced mental health services into the community of Denary and Creighton to provide those additional supports to the community as they work through the recovery phase. And as I said earlier, the communities are leading the recovery phase, and the government, through the recovery task team, is supporting right alongside. And this is a $20 million commitment by the government of Saskatchewan to assist with those recovery efforts.
Thank you, Minister. With that, we will conclude today's media availability. Have a safe rest of your day, everyone.
Good, my battery just started flashing.
Your battery did.